Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make is cookies, but we're going to make a very easy recipe of a cookie, and it's actually a double chocolate cookie. Now, I am making these cookies with solid shortening, so if you aren't a fan of it, you might not like this recipe, or maybe you live in an area where it can't be purchased. And I've had people write to me. I have several. I've lost count of how many cookies I have on my channel, but I have many different types of chocolate cookies that either use oil or butter, that type of thing, okay? I also want to mention off the top that I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm really sorry about that. I'll explain later briefly. And what I'm going to do is, hopefully I'm going to do it as we go off of the list of all the ingredients. I'll go over the amounts, hopefully clearly enough that you'll be able to jot them down if you want to try this recipe. So let's get started. First, we're going to start off with 1 1/3 cups of solid shortening. And now you can make these cookies with your hand mixer. If you prefer, I like to use my stand for the videos because I think it's much quicker and faster. And I'm just going to turn my mixer on and just to break that up. Yeah, I want to warn you about the sound because my mixer can come off loud. So I'll give you a heads up every time that I put it on, okay? So far, 1 1/3 cups of the solid shortening, and we're going to cream with the shortening 1 cup of granulated sugar. The sound quality isn't too bad when I'm on low speed. It's when I go higher, I believe. Now you'll want to cream these together so that they're nice and smooth, and that certainly, you know, is going to maybe take you a minute or so. The next thing we're going to cream in, put in 2/3 cups of brown sugar. Whether you want to use light or dark, it's up to you. I leave it like this because many people write, you know, is it packed? Yes, you do want to have it packed when you're getting this amount, 2/3 of a cup. Now I'm going to warn you about the sound. Now, just bring that together, you know, you'll cream it together and it'll look like this, okay? Oh, it smells so nice with that brown sugar. And when you bake these cookies in the oven, your whole kitchen's going to smell so good. The next thing we're going to beat in is 2 eggs. I've had them at room temperature, and I'm going to beat them in 1 at a time. Now again, spend a few minutes creaming everything. It might be 2 minutes, a total of 3. It really depends on the speed of your mixer, whether you're using a stand or a hand. The next thing you're going to be putting in is milk. And you're going to put 3 tablespoons of milk in. 3 tablespoons. I'm going to warn you about the sound. The next thing that we're going to be putting in is vanilla, and you're going to need 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And yes, I did say 1 tablespoon. So, because I know a lot of times some people will write and say, oh, you meant teaspoon. No, a tablespoon, okay? And I'm just going to cream that in, warn you about the sound. then just blend that till it's, you know, very smooth, whatever it takes in minutes. And now let's work on the dry ingredients. So we're going to need all-purpose flour, and we're going to use 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We're also going to be putting in 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm just going to put it right into my flour. You're going to put 1 teaspoon of salt, and again, right in the flour. And with my little whisk, I'm just going to give it a quick stir. Okay. And I'm going to start to put the dry into the wet slow so that I don't, you know, put flour all over the kitchen. Okay, now I'm going to raise my speed, so again, warning you about the sound. Okay, what comes up next is your unsweetened baking cocoa. Not the type of hot chocolate that we make. This is for baking, and it's unsweetened. You will need 2/3 of a cup of your unsweetened cocoa, and I'll put a little at a time. Now, I pushed my speed up accidentally, and I think you could see the cloud of of cocoa. So I still have to cream and blend this. Warn you about the sound. Okay. The next thing you're going to need is chocolate morsels. And I'm using milk chocolate. You can use dark chocolate. You can put butterscotch. You could put, well, a white chocolate chips or morsels if you want. What I like about the cookie, though, it's that these morsels really kind of bake into them, if you know what I mean. So it gives the cookie such a richness. And I think that's why it's not even called a chip, you know, like a chocolate chip cookie. It's really quite delicious. Well, anyway, this is 1 cup, okay? Now you can fold this in by hand, or I like to put it in my mixer. I don't beat it on high. I just think it gives better distribution of the morsels. And they don't really lose their integrity or break up too much if I'm just careful to fold them in. Okay, also what goes really good with this cookie, but I'm not putting them in today because these cookies are being donated where they really can't have nuts in them. And but if you want to, you can put 1.5 cups of your chopped walnut or pecan nuts in it, or macadamia, or really whatever type of nut that you like. But 1.5 cups chopped, okay? Now I'm just going to take my paddle off here, if I can. There we go. And set the mixer aside. There we go. And I'm going to take my excess off. You know, you really don't want to waste any product because as we all know, baking supplies are very expensive, and you just don't want to waste. You don't want to waste your dollars. So I'll just try to take off the excess for now. And then I want to clean the sides of my bowl, make sure that to get to the bottom, because it tends to stick and not mix well way at the bottom. So I'm just going to give it a good cleaning here, so to speak. And then I'd like to show you the cookie dough itself, and that's what it looks like. Okay. Oh, it's a little bit of a sticky dough, of a wet dough. I'm going to just rinse my hands quickly here. Okay, now use a cookie sheet or cookie pan, whatever you want. What's kind of nice, I like this recipe, is that you don't need parchment paper or your Teflon mats. You don't have to spray it. It's an ungreased. If you prefer to use your mats or parchment, of course, feel free, but you know, it's not needed. So when I make these particular cookies, like I said, I don't use any of the parchment paper or the Teflon mats. The next thing is you're going to put down about 2 tablespoons. I'm using not the smallest, but the second series of the scoop. I like to use scoops because I think that the cookies come out more uniform, that they're all the same size and height and that kind of thing. But it, you know, it doesn't affect the cookie if you drop it yourself with a tablespoon, that kind of thing. And like I said, it's about 2 tablespoons. And you do want to space them about 2 inches apart. I'm not going to bore you by putting more on my tray that you have to watch that. But 2 inches apart. Now you're going to bake them at 350 degrees, and they can take you anywhere from 9 to 11 minutes. I actually start checking mine about 7.5 minutes, that kind of thing. I like these cookies particularly if I only bake 1 tray at one time, but when I'm in a hurry or whatever, because I have made these before, make sure that you alternate. If you're using 2 trays in your oven, alternate them in the baking process. And you probably know that already, but it bears repeating. So you don't want to over bake these cookies, but you do want to know that when you take them out hot, let them sit on this pan, your pan, for about 2 minutes, and then move them to your cooling rack. Otherwise they will break up, and I don't think you'll be happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to just wash my hands very quickly here, because I have been touching raw cookie dough. And I'd like to show you the finished product. And this is how they turn out. They bake up just a beautiful dark brown cookie, as I hope that you can see. Now you're going to get about 4 dozen. If you make them smaller, of course, you're going to get more. If you make them larger, you're going to get less. But that's the size of the scoop that I used. I got 4 dozen out of them. Now on the outside of the cookie, on the top and the bottom, on the outside is crisp. It is a hard finish. When you break the cookie open though, it will have a chew. It's about medium, you know. And they're very moist cookies. I don't know if you can see as I'm pushing them together, but how they're coming together, because they're a moist cookie, and they have a chew to them, which they're just delicious. They really melt in your mouth. These cookies are fantastic right out of the oven, or put them in the microwave for 30 seconds or something. They're great with a cup of coffee, or dunking them in cold milk or chocolate milk. Oh, these cookies are fantastic. And I really think you'll like this double chocolate cookie. Now, if you try this recipe and you like it, well, write to me and tell me. I'd love to hear from you. I want to just remind you very quickly that all my videos are only on YouTube. So if you see my work somewhere else, well, somebody has pinned it or posted it or claimed it as theirs. And that's why I don't bother to put the recipe on anymore. And I'm not alone on that, that's for sure. Many other people it happens to. But I just choose not to do that anymore. So please watch me solely on YouTube, because when you write to me, I will get your question or your comment, and I will do my very best to answer in a timely fashion. So I want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and try these cookies. I think you're going to like them. Stay well and stay safe. See you soon.